Oh, hello there. Yes, well, we slide slowly into the weekend. It's been a long week, and it's been an interesting week, with an emphasis upon those amongst us who are extremists. And the extremists very often, as we've seen over the last sort of 24, 48 hours with definitions of extremists, can often be very, very ordinary people, but magically, suddenly, when you think about what exactly extremism is, you realise that in fact they have very extreme views. We also had the news that puberty blockers are being no longer allowed in the NHS, or indeed basically anywhere, for trans people. Now, you can argue the toss about what you think about that. I don't really care, I must admit. However, it's very, very odd to ban a particular drug for a particular cohort of people when there is no medical evidence that that cohort in particular shouldn't have them. A politically motivated decision to appease a very vocal minority of, well, let's call them extremists, shall we? We've also had the news of J.K. Rowling, who's managed to dig herself into an enormous hole with not quite Holocaust denial, but certainly Holocaust revisionism. And when you get George Takei, who has to gently remind you might be wrong, it's worthwhile maybe listening to him. He's a man who's, throughout his entire life, sided on the right side of history in terms of being for the underdog and against those nasty oppressors, whoever they might be. He spent some of his formative years in an American internment camp during the Second World War, and as a gay man he knows full well what it's like to be on the receiving end of other people's extremism, shall we say. Yes, so we have J.K. Rowling and the rest of them digging a hole for themselves because they want to insist that because they don't believe that trans people exist, that therefore proven facts in history just aren't in fact proven facts. And they can do this if they want to, because after all, J.K. Rowling in particular can threaten to sue people. She's got a great deal of money, so she can do that. It doesn't make her right, though, and it also doesn't stop her being an extremist. The rest of them, the usual suspects, all the sort of 20-odd big names that are out there, I think are just people that really wish that they were far more victims than they are. They are people who politically perhaps have always seen themselves as being progressive and the underdog. And the fact that realistically they're not anymore, I think, is deeply troubling for them. So they spend their twilight years worrying about their mortgage, but they also worry about the fact that other people seem to have taken their status as victim. As feminist women, they are the victims. And suddenly, with other groups of people around who have more of a claim in an intersectional way to that, they find themselves all adrift. And unfortunately, they just get angry. I would suggest that a better way around this is to identify where the problem is and side with those other people who are suffering from oppression. Not simply to make a living out of it, to pay the mortgage, or piling on when you know that what you're saying is utter drivel. Anyway, do have a lovely Friday. I'm hoping for a decent weekend. That would be nice.